In an era when the world is increasingly interconnected and information is within everyone's reach, it is essential to understand the challenges the Chinese people face in their fight for freedom of expression and access to impartial information. In order to do that, it is important to know the concept of media in the Chinese mindset and the government bodies that deal with their regulation. The term media is translated into Chinese as mei-ti, both for phonetic reasons and for the choice of characters, that is, mei, meaning negotiator or intermediary, and ti, meaning body or substance. In the Chinese understanding, the media system was and still is bound to respect the Chinese Communist Party principle. Thus, it is associated with the idea of the mouthpiece of the party itself. For this reason, the media is conceived as a propaganda tool with the purpose of guiding public opinion. The media are managed and regulated by a series of government bodies, among which the Central Propaganda Department stands out. Besides their tasks of control and supervision, there is that of media censorship. Over the years, in fact, the Chinese government has taken measures to control and limit press freedom in the country, consequently putting China at the center of a global debate on freedom of expression. For example, this year, the non-governmental organization Reporters Without Borders, in its annual ranking of press freedom worldwide, placed China 179 out of 180, describing it as the world's largest prison for journalists. One of the main mechanisms of digital censorship is the Great Firewall, a name that recalls the Great Wall of China. It monitors and filters access to foreign websites and social media platforms. Even domestic social media such as Weibo and WeChat are severely restricted from discussing topics considered sensitive by the Chinese government. An example is COVID-19, which brought Chinese citizens onto the streets to protest against the withholding of information during the period of the much criticized zero-COVID policy. However, some Chinese citizens have developed a lot of creative methods to circumvent this system. For instance, through the use of VPN services to access blocked websites, or through alternative Chinese social media platforms such as WeChat and Weibo, where censorship is more moderate than in Western social media, or also through the application of investigative journalism techniques by journalists and activists to gather information and disseminate news that would otherwise be censored by the government. In this context, we cannot forget a tragic event that shook the world in 1989, the Tiananmen Square protests. In the spring of that year, thousands of Chinese students and activists gathered to demand democratic reforms and more freedom of expression. Starting from Tiananmen Square, almost all of China joined the protest to support the cause. However, after months of turmoil between hunger strikes and demonstrations, the government decided to suppress the unrest with violence. And on the 4th of June of 1989, the Chinese military troops opened fire on the protesters, causing hundreds, if not thousands, of deaths. The next day, an event that caught the world's attention occurred. An unarmed young man, who went down in history as the unknown rebel or tank man, stood in front of a column of tanks, stopping them from advancing. The image spread quickly and it is still widely used by media as a symbol of the struggle for human rights and democracy around the world, raising awareness and debate about the human rights situation in China. The Chinese government has always tried to erase and censor this memory. Yet, every year on the 4th of June, several cities around the world mark the anniversary of this sad event with demonstrations and commemorative vigils.
Let's have a moment of silence to remember the lost souls of the Tiananmen Square massacre.
The Tiananmen protests and the current restrictions on press freedom pose a significant challenge, but the fight for democracy and human rights cannot be ignored. Through activism, awareness, and solidarity, there is hope for a future where freedom of expression is respected as a fundamental right, not only for Chinese citizens, but for all the people of the world.